Hey, what's going on guys? I'm Bluefoot. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going over the top 10 best Call of Duty Zombies characters of all time. Of course, this is only zombies, and it's only Treyarch zombies. There's not going to be any Exo Zombies characters. There's not going to be any Infinite Warfare characters, just so everyone's clear. Also, these characters have to be able to be controlled by the player. So there's not going to be any characters like Samantha, or Maxis, or Dr. Monty, because they can't physically be controlled by the player. Also, I'm going to be going over a lot of these characters' backgrounds, so you might learn a thing or two about these characters that you didn't know before, and it's going to be really neat. It's going to be a lot different than some of these other top 5s that I've done, and I think it's going to be interesting. Now, the main ticket for some of these characters to get onto this list is how much of an impact they have on the zombie storyline. So, if they're kind of just a random character that doesn't really affect anything, they're probably not going to be on this list. Also, we're not going to be having like any annoying characters, just generally decent characters that not a lot of people have a problem with. Most of them are badasses, most of them everyone likes. There's a lot of characters that won't be on this list that I really enjoy, and that's simply just because they don't have a big impact on anything. But anyways, guys, let's jump right in to number 10. Coming into the number 10 spot, we have Nero Blackstone from Shadows of Evil. Now, I'll go over his past a little bit here. So, the first thing that you want to note about this character is that he's obviously a magician, he's a failing magician, and he's kind of tight financially. So what he decides to do is kill his wife. Now, his wife's, kind of a bitch to him, so he just decides to, as you can see right here, perform a magic trick on her, and he kills her, collects the insurance money or something like that, and, that's basically his story, and he's a sinner, I guess, and so the Shadow Man decides to throw him into this huge, Shadows of Evil Apothicon mess. But the reason why Nero is more significant than any of the other Shadows of Evil characters is because he knows what's going on to a certain extent. When the Shadow Man starts talking to Nero, he realizes that he actually has a brief understanding of the Apothicons. Actually, it's in one of his books that's located in his lair. I believe it's the book that has to do with the Easter egg, and so he knows a little bit about these Apothicons and the Shadow Man. Not a lot, but a decent amount. Nero is kind of a quirky dude. He's kind of strange and weird. The reason why Nero is so significant is because of his quotes. Again, I can't play all of his quotes during this video. That'd be ridiculous. But if you guys want to check out some of his quotes, they're quite interesting, and obviously we don't know a ton about Nero, otherwise I'd be talking a lot more about him. He's kind of a mysterious dude, and the reason why he's more significant is just because he's in Shadows of Evil, which ties a lot more to the real storyline, I guess you want to say. Like, maps like 5 and Call of the Dead, they really don't have a significant role in the zombie storyline, whereas Shadows of Evil does, and so Nero is definitely a character that should be on this list. So anyways, guys, that's your number 10 spot. Coming in at number 9, we have Samuel Stuhlinger from Transit, Die Rise, and Buried. Now, this character is more significant than the other 3 Transit members simply because he is the only character that can actually hear Richtofen's voice inside of his head. I'll get to that in a bit, but when you're doing the Richtofen Transit Easter egg, it is vital that the player that is using Samuel Stuhlinger listens up, because that's how you figure out what to do in the Easter egg. Now, obviously, there's like tutorials and stuff, but at the time, that was huge. Samuel Stuhlinger has a huge role in the Transit Easter egg as far as I'm concerned. Now, the reason why Sam can hear these voices and the other characters cannot is because he is the one that ate zombie flesh. Now, I'll explain for those of you guys that don't know. When the outbreak occurred, Samuel Stuhlinger joined a cannibalistic group that decided to eat zombie flesh or rotten flesh, and I guess that gave him the ability to hear Richtofen's voice somehow through Aether. I'm not really sure how that works, to be honest, but it's the way it is, I guess. And so Samuel Stuhlinger simply goes on this list because of his role in the Black Ops 2 storyline. Disregarding all storyline, if you look at him as just a regular guy, he is a little bit annoying at times. Like, some of his quotes are just kind of like weird and unnecessary, but he is a pretty genuinely good character. There's nothing really off about him. I'm not sure that a lot of people love him, and so putting him on this list may be a little bit questionable for some of you guys. Just know that he has a pretty significant role in the zombie storyline, more significant than the other Transit characters, and he comes in at number 9. Number 8, Billy Handsome.
You gonna shut him up, or do I gotta do it?
You know the rules, Handsome. No talking.
Billy is quite the badass, guys, and I'm just going to go over a really brief history of this man. So, back when he was a young lad, he looked up to Sal DeLuca and Finn O'Leary, and he decided that, well, he wanted to be part of a gang with them, so what he decided to do was be Sal's hitman, and what that means essentially is he went out and he did the dirty work. He's the one that killed Sal's enemies. He's the one that got his hands dirty, and he ended up murdering 116 people and was sent to Alcatraz prison, of course. And if you guys don't know much about the Mob of the Dead storyline, I'm not going to explain the whole thing. To make a very long story short, these 4 guys were sent to Alcatraz prison to pay for their sins, and they're put into this purgatory mode, and the only way to escape is to break the cycle. Now, the reason why Billy comes onto this list at number 8 is because he is part of the Mob of the Dead crew, which makes him pretty significant because he ties in with Origins and the Black Ops 3 storyline a bit, and so that's a pretty huge chunk of the storyline, and also because, well, guys, he's just a fucking badass. Like I said, he has a lot of interesting quotes, and he's a really nice character to have. Whenever I'm Billy, when I play Mob of the Dead, I'm like, let's fucking do this, man. Let's play some Mob of the Dead. He really just, I don't know, he's such an awesome character. I mean, just look at this. I do believe that Billy is the least significant of the 4. I mean, he is a badass, like I said, but he just isn't as important as the other characters. Kind of a spoiler. Anyways, let's jump into number 7. Coming in at number 7, guys, we have another Mob of the Dead character, and that is Michael Finn O'Leary. My God, this guy is just a badass, to say the least. That's going to be kind of a reoccurring theme here. So, the reason why Finn got into Alcatraz prison is because of gambling fraud on 16 accounts. He was actually married to Angela Bow, who was a silent film actress, and she was the one that convicted him and sent him to Alcatraz prison. What a bitch, am I right? But anyways, the reason why he comes onto this list is because he, A, is a Mob of the Dead character, which adds major bonus points to him. He's a part of the storyline, integral. Also because he is one of the 2 characters, we'll get to the other one, that has blood vials that Richtofen is carrying in Zetsubo. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're doing the Zetsubo Easter egg, or I think just when you're playing the map, Richtofen is carrying 2 blood vials, and one of them is from Finn O'Leary. And also, he has some ties with Shadows of Evil, I believe. I think Jackie Vincent had a quote of him, and he said something about Finn O'Leary or whiskey or something like that. Don't quote me on that, by the way, but I believe it's something like that. And there was also a lot of skepticism. People were saying that he may have been married to Jessica Rose or dating her at one point or another. I think that's a total lie, but I mean, he definitely has some ties with Shadows of Evil, so I believe that he's a little bit more important than Billy. He just comes in at number 7.
9:30, lights out. God begins his rounds. How we doing tonight, Ferguson? Family good?
Doing great, Mr. DeLuca. My boy Tommy, he's almost 6 now.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 6, we have Salvatore DeLuca, or Sal DeLuca, from Mob of the Dead once again, and this guy is the main guy in charge. He is the mob leader, and I'll tell you why he went to Alcatraz prison. He was heavily involved in gambling and prostitution, as well as the distribution of alcohol, and he was a bootlegger, I believe. And so, you know, during that time period, that was a huge thing, and he got sent to Alcatraz prison. Now, he actually got a lot of money from doing those things, and he formed his own mob, and of course, Billy was part of that, and he also got sent to the prison. But the reason why he comes above Billy and Finn, obviously, is because he's the leader, and he is also, just like Finn, one of the 2 people that had, you know, the blood vials from Richtofen and that whole thing. You know, that's pretty cool, and I honestly think Sal DeLuca has a lot of good quotes as well. He's a pretty interesting guy, and, I mean, other than that, there's not much to say about him. He's a pretty straightforward guy, mob leader, badass. He actually didn't get his hands dirty much, like I said earlier. That was more of Billy's job. But he comes in at number 6.
Ain't that swell?
Number 5, The Weasel.
9:35, the Weasel launches into a song and dance routine.
Damn it, Arlington. You gotta get the doc! Gonna be the real deal this time.
That's right, number 5 goes to Albert Arlington, aka The Weasel, once again from Mob of the Dead. If you didn't expect all the Mob of the Dead characters to come in this list, I don't know what you were thinking, but once again, we got another badass character, The Weasel. Now, the reason why he comes above all of the other Mob of the Dead characters is because he is the one that devises this plan to escape Alcatraz prison. It is based on a real-life story. I'm so fascinated with that story. That's why I love Mob of the Dead so much. I encourage you guys to check that out. Now, in order to escape Alcatraz Island, you've got to have some sort of plan, and the Weasel thinks he's got this down. He has stashed different parts of the plane all over the map, and they're going to grab those parts, and they're going to build the plane, get off the island, home free. But what ends up happening is they crash into the Golden Gate Bridge, and, you know, that sucks. So they come up with a plan that's called Lights Out in order to perform this. And so what they do is they have Sal talking to the warden in order to keep him distracted and make him feel kind of comfortable, I guess. And then you got the Weasel who is doing his song and dance routine where he's pretending to be ill so that the warden can run in and the Weasel can kill the warden, steal the keys, and get the other guys out so that they can go and do this. But then they realize that the warden turns into a zombie, they kill him, and then they realize that, well, they're in this purgatory now, and it is Mob of the Dead, and they're in this endless cycle, and they have to break this cycle. Now, quite clearly, this plan falls through and does not work, and so Finn, Billy, and Sal are not amused. They end up bringing Weasel to the rooftop and brutally murdering him, and then they are sentenced to death by electric chair, and then they're brought back into this cycle. And so they keep continuing the same exact thing over and over again until the Weasel kills the other three mobsters, in which case the cycle is broken. Now, the reason why the Weasel is definitely the most important in all of this is because, well, he's obviously the guy that devised the plan, like I said. I've said that like 3 times. And also because he is the one that is facing those guys, basically just a 3v1. He's definitely the character that stands out amongst the 4 of them. I don't think anyone can deny that. Al is honestly a little bit annoying to people when you first get to know him, but then after a while, you know, he really has a lot of interesting quotes. He's a really in-depth character. I didn't even realize this. He is honestly one of the best characters in Call of Duty Zombies. And obviously, he's coming in at number 5 because, well, if you had to guess who the top 4 were. But anyways, Weasel, amazing character. He comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, guys, we have Takeo Misaki. Now, this guy is just a fucking legend. He's a Japanese warrior who has been with Richtofen and the original crew for quite some time. Now, where do we start with him? We'll start with a 2.0 version of himself in Origins. Now, he doesn't know any of these characters. He just meets up with them, Nikolai, Dempsey, and Richtofen, and, you know, they kind of have to work together. So they team up, they go to the Giant, they go to Dreisendrach, Zetsubo, Gorod, and Revelations, and they kick ass, and they have that storyline. Great. I'm not going to go over the whole storyline, but you guys get the idea. Then, chronologically, they go to Black Ops 1, or World at War, or I'm not even sure. They go through Shinonuma, Darius. They weren't actually there for Nocturne, Toten, and Verrucht. And then, so they go to Kino, they skip over a few maps, and they go to Ascension, Call of the Dead. They were part of the Easter egg, even though they weren't the main characters of the map. Then they were there in Shangri-La, then Moon. And so they blow up the Earth, and everything is all well, and they go through with their whole plan. Takeo is the least favored of the 4. I'm not sure why. It might have to do with some of his annoying quotes in World at War and Black Ops 1. In Black Ops 2 and 3, he seems to not be as annoying. I like the 1.0 version less than the 2.0 version of Takeo, to be honest. I think that goes for all of the characters. I don't know. It just seems like Takeo is least favored, and that kind of bugs me a bit, but, I mean, it is what it is. Takeo is quite the fucking awesome character. It seems like Takeo is definitely one of the more intelligent characters. He's really, really in-depth, and he has a lot of mental things going on. He's got a lot of things going up in his brain, and he has all these flashbacks and stuff. There's just so much with Takeo and the other 3 characters that are up on this list coming up. I can't go over it all. You guys know Takeo. You guys know who he is. He comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 of the best characters of all time, we have Tank Dempsey. Oh my freaking god. He is by far the epitome of a badass. I've been saying that the whole video, but this guy is it. He is the biggest badass in all of any game I've ever played personally, okay? Tank Dempsey has no fear. He doesn't fear anything. So quite literally, we're gonna go back to Tank Dempsey's origins. So, you know, he kind of starts off just like Takeo did and any other characters did. They met up, they went through the Black Ops 3 storyline, kicked ass, then they went back to, or they didn't go back to, but I think it chronologically goes to World at War or Black Ops 1. I'm so confused with this Black Ops 3 storyline. But anyways, so in World at War, it wasn't part of Nocturne and Toten, but in World at War Verrucht, Tank Dempsey was one of the 4 Marines that were sent to the facility to capture, like, Peter McCain or something. I gotta admit, I'm really fucking confused on that part. But anyways, so Tank Dempsey is there, and he gets captured by Edward Richtofen, and he joins the crew because his previous member, I think it was the Mexican test subject or something like that, got killed, so he replaced him with Tank Dempsey. And so the other 3 Marines, I believe, died. But anyways, so Tank Dempsey to me is cool because, yes, he's a badass. Yes, he is a killing machine. Yes, he fears nothing. But he also is a really nice guy. He's also just known as that jarhead Marine that's always just like, oorah, oorah, you know, Tank Dempsey, yeah, kick ass, America, fuck yeah. He's just that straightforward, just, we're gonna kick some ass guy. And that's what everyone appreciates about Tank Dempsey. He's not full of all these, you know, in-depth quotes all the time. He's always just saying like, fuck yeah, guys, let's do this. Let's kill some zombies. We're in this for the long run, guys. Tank Dempsey is just fucking amazing, okay? You guys know who Tank Dempsey is. It's very hard for me to describe how much I like Tank Dempsey. He is just a legend. So he comes in at number 3. The second best Call of Duty Zombies character of all time, without a doubt, goes to Nikolai Vilensky, the Russian Soviet badass. Oh my god, just look at this. He is just an awesome guy. Now, obviously, the number one thing that everyone loves about Nikolai are his quotes, his drunken quotes, him just slurring all the time about how he has, you know, 100 wives, and how he killed this wife that way, and he killed this wife the other way, and everyone just loves him. He's absolutely hilarious, and he's definitely the most favored Zombies character as a whole in the community. Now, the thing you really gotta appreciate about Nikolai is how he's hilarious, and he's drunk, and he's a mess in World at War and Black Ops 1, but in Black Ops 3, they kind of steered away from that a little bit. They're like, alright, you know what, Nikolai isn't just some drunk idiot, he is a really in-depth character, we really like Nikolai, so we're just gonna display him as this really honorable, nice guy, and that's exactly what he is in Black Ops 3. He's full of all these insightful quotes that are really, really significant to the storyline. He's very, very intelligent, even though he's a drunk, I know. He's definitely a smart guy. He's looking out for the children in the house. I know, you guys might not even know what I'm talking about. It's the whole Revelations and Origins thing, but anyways, so Nikolai, you guys already know Nikolai. I mean, the original 4, you guys should all know, and just the fact that I've gone through all these characters, you guys should automatically know who the number 1 spot is, and we're gonna get to that in a moment. But Nikolai, man, you gotta be on crack not to love this guy. He is just so awesome. He's definitely I'd say he's my favorite character, to be honest. He's very close, though, but Nikolai, he comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 1, the best Call of Duty Zombies character of all time, guys, it's without a doubt Dr. Edward Richtofen. Now, personally, he's not my favorite, but I gotta give it to him because he is definitely the most significant character in the whole zombie storyline in terms of, you know, playability-wise. Actually, I think he is even more important than Maxis and Dr. Monty and anyone like that. He just is that fucking important. Now, let me go over a brief history of it, Dr. Edward Richtofen. Very, very brief. So, in the Derice facility when he was working with Dr. Maxis, he and Richtofen were kind of disagreeing on some of the things they were doing, like the teleportation. I mean, if you listen to all the radios and all that kind of stuff, they just really disagreed on everything. So, what Richtofen decided to do, because he was a psychopath back then, was lock Samantha and Dr. Maxis inside of like a door or something like that. I don't know, it was either like some sort of teleporter or door or something like that, so they could not escape, and Fluffy the dog killed them. And so I think Maxis's soul went into like Aether or something like that, or Samantha's went to the pyramid, or, you know what, I'm really fucking confused on that. But anyways, so Samantha ends up controlling the zombies in Black Ops 1, and so Richtofen goes on this huge thing in Black Ops 1. He goes for the Golden Rod in Call of the Dead, then he goes for the Focusing Stone in Shangri-La, then he goes to the moon, to Griffin Station, and he swaps souls with Samantha, and then he enters Aether, or whatever you want to call it, and he ends up controlling the zombies in Black Ops 2, and then we go back in time with Black Ops 3 and Origins and all that kind of stuff, and then we go through the whole Origins thing and the whole Black Ops 3 storyline that you guys are probably a lot more familiar with. So, that's a very, very brief, rough understanding of Edward Richtofen's past. So, obviously, he is the leader of the original crew, which makes him the most significant just like that. But, if you want to go even further, he's a mad scientist. He's just that stereotypical mad scientist. He's German. He's got a lot of funny quotes. He's got the funny accent and everything, and he's also a fucking genius. He's came up with all these inventions like the monkey bombs, the Wonder Wop. I think actually Maxis invented the ray gun. I'm not positive, but Richtofen invented a bunch of these wonder weapons. He invented the teleporter, I think, at Derice. And he was just a leader of a bunch of elite scientists as well all over the globe. And if you really go into depth with the radio and the storyline of the whole Black Ops 1 thing, it is just incredible. I sat there and there was like a 4-hour video I watched, and oh my god, Richtofen is just a legend. He is a legend. He is the most significant character in all of Call of Duty Zombies. So, he comes in at number 1. I'm sure you guys probably had some questionable picks on this list. Maybe you're like, okay, maybe Samuel Dillinger, nah, maybe not Nero, maybe Misty belonged on the list. I don't know. I just kind of based this off of who had the most significance in the zombie storyline. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I spent so much time making this video and, you know, doing a little bit of research as well. I really put a lot of time and effort into this video, so if you leave a like, that would make me so happy, and you guys are so fucking awesome. You guys are bros. Also, subscribe if you're new to this channel. That'd be also amazing. So, with that all out of the way, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. See you later, guys.